40 million were close.
Asian.
That's Father Ray. They were Catholics. They were Catholics. So, advantage who? Nixon or Kennedy? No question. Kennedy was for civil rights. Did the Eisenhower administration do anything for civil rights? No. Kennedy was known that he would support civil rights if elected. Also, he got 40 million Catholics. You can imagine those votes were going to go. So advantage Kennedy. But this is a very close election. Okay, here we go. 68,450,990 popular votes cast. 68,450,990 popular votes cast in this election. Highest voter turnout in American history to that point. Okay? Kennedy receives 34,227,096 votes. Nixon receives 34,107,646 votes. Look at that. Who gets 116,248? Who gets that? No? Come on. Not him, but the guy's running for, he's running for vice. Harry F. Byrd. Now, let's get down to the brass tacks here and think about this a little bit. That is a difference right here of 119,450 votes, or 0.001 7480 1274, which is 1/5 of what? 1%. That was how close the popular vote was, right there. Just almost a tie when you think about it. Now, we all know, don't we, Lily, that $1.25 and popular votes will buy you a pop and a machine down there because they're not worth much. Ask Hillary Clinton. Right? So this is the target. There were 537 electoral votes possible. To win the election, you needed 269. That was the target. 269 is what you had to have in 1960 to win. Kennedy, 303. Nixon, 219. Which adds up to there's some votes missing there. How many? How many? 15? Harry Byrd actually got 15 electoral votes. That's unusual for an independent candidate to get electoral votes. Now, where's he from? Virginia. The state he wins in the election? Mississippi. He doesn't even win his own state. He wins Mississippi and there are 15 electoral votes. As a result of all these numbers, kiddos, John Kennedy becomes the 35th President of the United States, the youngest man ever elected to the office of President of the United States, and the only man of the Roman Catholic religion ever to be elected President of the United States. So with that victory in 1960, John Fitzgerald Kennedy becomes the 35th President of the United States, the youngest man ever elected President of the United States, and the only Roman Catholic. There we go. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to tell you a little bit about John F. Kennedy in a profile prior to 1960. So what happened to him prior to 1960? What was his life like? Anybody know anything about John Kennedy's youth when he was a small child? Ashton, what do you know about him? Know anything about him? Oh, God, that's not 3 times I've done that. Why do I do that? Leighton? What? He looked similar to his sister?
No, you said, you're like, why do I do that? I'm like, because I
You
look
do.
similar.
So, what about John Kennedy's youth?
So,
What do you know about John Kennedy's youth?
I know he had a sister with disability.
Okay, now I want about him specifically. Anybody know much about him? First of all, I'll tell you where he's born. He's born in Brookline, Massachusetts. Brookline, Massachusetts. That's just like it sounds. Brook, B-R-O-O-K-L-I-N-E. Brookline, Massachusetts. And was born on May 29th of 1917. Have you had enough already, Marco?
Yeah, no, I'd see too.
Okay, have a nice time.
I'll
So
get
John
that
F.
in.
Kennedy was born in Brookline, Massachusetts on May 29th, 1917. Okay? Now, last year on May 29th was the big celebration across the country of his, what would have been his 100th birthday. Okay, it was a big deal, especially in Massachusetts and Texas. But what you don't know about John Kennedy is he was often ill as a child. He was a very unhealthy child. Very unhealthy. He actually was born with one leg shorter than the other. If you know anything about that, at my age, every once in a while I get to working too hard and my pelvis will pop out and one leg will get longer than the other and it causes what? And back pain. It really does. But he experienced this his whole life because he was born with one leg shorter than the other. Okay, so he had back pain from the time he could walk, basically. He also was stricken with scarlet fever at the age of 3. He was also stricken with scarlet fever at the age of 3. He was a very unhealthy youth. And to be honest with you, throughout his life could be considered very unhealthy and might have been the most unhealthy during the time he served as president. Okay, he had a lot of problems that we'll talk about later health-wise. Despite that, he attends elementary schools in both Massachusetts and New York. His family moved a little bit because of his father. So he attended elementary schools in both Massachusetts and New York. But when he went to high school, where did he go? To what type of school? Private or prep school. And it was called Choate Academy, and it was in Connecticut. So he goes to elementary schools in both Massachusetts and New York, and when he gets high school age, his father puts him in a private high school or private prep school known as Choate Academy in Connecticut. Well, he graduates from Choate Academy at the age of 18. In his yearbook, he is voted most likely to succeed. Still haven't found mine yet. I'm working on it. Okay, most likely to succeed. And after he graduates from high school, he spends the summer of 1935 in England. So after he graduates from high school, he spends the summer of 1935 in England. Why in the world would he be in England? Anybody know? What's that? Nope, not yet. Summer of 35. He's going to go to college when he gets back. What's that? Okay, well, yeah, well, it's a good guess. Some people said foreign exchange. His dad was kind of a foreign exchange student, not really. He was U.S. ambassador to Great Britain. So his dad had been living in Great Britain serving Franklin Roosevelt as U.S. ambassador to Great Britain. So the whole Kennedy family went over there in the summer of 35 and spent the summer with their father because they were back in Massachusetts during the school year. So in the summer of 1935, John Kennedy and his brothers and sisters all go to England and they spend the summer of 1935 in England. And as Lily said, he will come back from England and he will attend college. Anybody know the first college he enrolled at? It's an Ivy League school. Harvard will be later. What did you say? Nope. Nope. Nope.
Stanford.
Nope. Keyword. Princeton. He enrolled in Princeton University, but he had to leave at Christmas. So he went to school there the first semester at Princeton, but was forced to leave school at Christmas. Anybody know why? Didn't have enough money? That wouldn't be the case. Why did he leave at Christmas? What's that? No. He got sick. He got jaundice. He contracted jaundice. You know what jaundice is? Who's that usually affect? Babies. And what happens with jaundice is you have a malfunction of your liver, which messes up your body fluids and tissues, and what appearance do you get? You get yellow. Your skin becomes a yellow color. And that's what happened to John Kennedy. He got sick. He developed jaundice, which was very unusual for a person of his age to have that. He had a malfunction of his liver, and it discolored his tissues and body fluids, and basically he turned the color of yellow. And he had to come back that second semester and recover from his illness. Okay? Well, once he recovered from jaundice that second semester, he went back to college in the fall of 1936, and where did he go this time? Harvard. Went to Harvard. There you go. So he enrolled at Harvard in the fall of 1936 after recovering, and he will graduate from Harvard in June in 1940 with a major in government and international relations. So he will go to Harvard University in the fall of 1936. He will graduate in 1940 with a major in government and international relations. Now, we'll see if you guys know this. Back in those days, if you went to get your master's degree, or if you went to Harvard, an influential Ivy League school, what did you have to do to get out? What did you have to do to graduate, besides taking all the classes? No? What's that? No, that'd be if you're a lawyer. You had to write a big research paper known as a thesis, okay, in your area of study. Now, I'll just give you an example. It's off the cuff. When I went to graduate school at Montana State, we had a choice. We could either take comprehensive exams or we could write a thesis. Now, picture this as a high school student. If we said that to you, to graduate, Elisa, from this school, you can have a choice. You can either do comprehensive exams, or you could write a research paper that would be so detailed that you could publish it into a book when you got done. Okay, what would you choose? Comprehensive exams would be like I would say to you, before you can graduate from high school, I'm going to give you a test on every single thing you learned in 4 years of high school, and if you pass that test at 80%, you're out of here. If you don't pass that test at 80%, you're not out of here. Okay? When I was in graduate school, I chose that rather than writing a thesis. I didn't want to write a thesis. It was not easy. Can you imagine? I went to school, I went summers. I went 4 summers, and you went, it's a long story, but you went for 8 weeks and you took multiple classes. It was twice as hard because instead of taking 12 credits, basically in the summer you took 24. Anyway, you took all these credits and now you tested over all those questions. And if you didn't pass the questions to the professor's satisfaction, so to speak, they would not pass you and give you your master's. Well, in these days you had to write a thesis. So John Kennedy wrote a thesis, which was later published into a book called Why England Slept. Here is a first edition, first printing. Now, didn't you guys talk the last class about this? Okay, so I will give you the same deal unless I think you cheated. I'll give the first person that tells me what this book is about, I'll give 5 points extra credit. Why England Slept. Josh, you want to take the first shot at it? Why England Slept.
Well, we did this in 1940, so that's kind of World War II started. Maybe why they let Germany do what they did, maybe?
Who's they?
England.
You're saying, so why England let Germany do what they did?
Why did I stop Germany?
Okay, now why would they not stop Germany? Because they had
want to get involved.
well, they had to because the Battle of Britain, they were there. So the book, you're close. It's a book about Britain and their lack of something going into World War II. Lack of what?
Males?
Not confidence. What did you say?
What'd you say?
Males? Close.
Motivation.
Close.
Determination.
Close.
Interest?
Close. Elisa, do you know and you're just not saying it? Because you don't want the points. It's about England's lack of what at the beginning of World War II. 10 seconds.
Experience.
Preparation.
Oh, I said that.
You did?
Yeah, and you didn't hear me.
Who heard it? Who heard it?
I did.
Okay, all right. Lack of preparation going into World War II. I'm surprised, you know what 99.9% of kids say this is about? How England lost what? The Revolutionary War. 9 kids out of 10 say why England slept, why they lost the Revolutionary War. 9 kids out of 10 say that every year since I've been doing this. That's unusual. Anyway, Larrabee, good job. We will fix you up, dear. Okay? So he writes this book called Why England Slept. And the book is about England's failure to prepare themselves for World War II, which led them to the Battle of Britain, in which they were very lucky to win, remember? Because if they don't defeat the Germans in the Battle of Britain, it's a whole different game. All right, Kennedy then enrolled at Stanford University in their graduate program, but he dropped out 6 months later. He enrolled in the Stanford University graduate program, but he dropped out 6 months later and took a trip through South America. Decided he'd just drop out of school and take a little vacation, because he knew when he got back he'd be doing what? Nope. Think of the time period. What? What? He would be enlisting in the United States Navy, because we had just had Pearl Harbor. He graduated in 1940. Okay? Wrote a book. Went to Stanford University. Went 6 months later out. What happened in December of 41? Pearl Harbor. Before Pearl Harbor, he went through South America. Got word of Pearl Harbor, and what did he do? He enlisted in the United States Navy. Now, we'll finish with this. In the Navy, the 22-year-old John Kennedy was given command of a PT boat squadron in the Pacific Theater of World War II. At the age of just 22, John F. Kennedy was given command of a PT boat squadron in the Pacific Theater of World War II. What's a PT boat squadron? Anybody know? It's a PT boat, one boat, and you have a crew, and what's the job of the PT boat? What? Patrol and give information back about enemy ships in the Pacific Ocean. His boat was called PT-109. PT-109, and we will tell you the story of PT-109 tomorrow. It's a really interesting story. Okay, awesome job.
Whatever he did last year.
I don't know what that means.
Potato heads.
Yes, it is yours because you didn't have to do the entire portfolio.